Frontline Updates, where we delve deep into military strategies and updates from conflict zones. Today, we're discussing the progress of the ongoing special military operation as of May 2, 2025. I'm your host, Sharifa Mohammed, MGT.
I'm Colonel AC Oguntoye, an infantry officer. The North Group achieved a major milestone, completing the rout of Ukrainian forces in the Kursk region with the liberation of Gornal, the final Ukrainian-held settlement there. Russian forces continue shaping a security zone in Ukraine's Sumy region. Heavy defeats were inflicted on Ukrainian mechanized, motorized infantry, airborne assault, and territorial defense brigades, with over 1,530 Ukrainian personnel lost and significant armor, artillery, EW systems, and ammunition depots destroyed.
Welcome to Frontline Updates, the podcast that brings you in-depth insights into military operations from those leading them on the ground. Today, we're joined by Colonel AC Oguntoye, an infantry officer monitoring critical missions on the progress of the special military operation as of today. Colonel Oguntoye, thank you for being with us.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Colonel, let's start with the big picture. What's been the major progress in the special military operation over the past week?
Over the past week, Russian forces have launched 7 coordinated strikes using high-precision weapons and attack drones. These strikes focused on crippling Ukraine's defense production capacity, targeting weapons factories, airfield infrastructure, electronic intelligence sites, drone and unmanned boat facilities, and temporary bases housing both Ukrainian soldiers and foreign fighters. On the ground, the North Group made a critical breakthrough by completing the rout of Ukrainian forces in the Kursk region, liberating the settlement of Gornal, the last under Ukrainian control. Alongside that, we're consolidating a security buffer in Ukraine's Sumy region to deter cross-border attacks. This reflects a combination of tactical gains and operational shaping to reduce long-term threats along the northern frontier.
Let's unpack the other fronts. How did things unfold in the western and southern sectors?
In the western axis, our forces liberated Kamenka and Doroshavka in the Kharkov region, and Novoy in the Donetsk People's Republic. This came after sustained operations against a range of Ukrainian brigades, tanks, mechanized infantry, rangers, airmobile units, and territorial defense forces. The enemy lost over 1,600 soldiers and a significant mix of NATO-supplied equipment, including Turkish Kirpi and US M113 armored vehicles. In the south, our troops advanced to more favorable lines, defeating a mix of Ukrainian mechanized, assault, National Guard, and territorial defense units. Ukrainian losses there exceeded 1,700 personnel, and we neutralized key assets like HMMWV and Max Pro armored vehicles, heavy artillery, and ammunition depots. This southern progress puts us in a strong position to apply further pressure along critical logistic routes.
What about the central and eastern fronts, where fighting has been particularly fierce?
Yes, absolutely. The center has seen some of the heaviest action this week. Our central forces improved their positions along the front, targeting a complex mix of Ukrainian units, including heavy mechanized, Jaeger, Marine, unmanned systems, and National Guard brigades. Ukrainian forces suffered their highest weekly casualties here, nearly 3,000 personnel, alongside substantial losses in armor and artillery. This reshaping of the center sets conditions for deeper operational maneuvers and threatens Ukrainian rear positions. On the eastern front, our troops advanced into entrenched Ukrainian defenses, dismantling mechanized, ranger, airmobile, and marine formations. Notably, we destroyed Western artillery systems like the French Caesar and German Panzerhaubitze 2000, both highly prized NATO assets. This signals the increasing ability of Russian forces to neutralize sophisticated Western-supplied platforms and degrade Ukraine's battlefield resilience.
Let's turn to the DNEPR group. What's their role in the overall operation?
The Dnepr group is crucial for maintaining pressure on Ukrainian coastal and riverine defenses. This week, they inflicted losses on Ukrainian mechanized, mountain assault, and coastal defense brigades, as well as territorial forces. While the numerical losses were smaller, around 600 Ukrainian troops, the symbolic and operational effects are important. We eliminated armored vehicles, artillery, EW systems, and ammunition depots that play a critical role in defending Ukraine's southern flank and access to the Black Sea.
Air power and naval operations have been key throughout. What can you tell us about this week's outcomes?
Air operations were highly effective. The Russian aerospace forces shot down a Ukrainian Su-27 fighter jet, intercepted 36 U.S.-supplied JDAM bombs, 5 HIMARS rockets, and over 1,300 Ukrainian UAVs. Notably, they also neutralized S-200 missiles repurposed for ground attack, demonstrating Russia's tightening grip over the air domain. At sea, the Black Sea Fleet's naval aviation destroyed a U.S.-made Willard high-speed boat and 3 unmanned vessels, damaging another. These operations ensure freedom of maneuver in maritime approaches and disrupt Ukrainian naval capabilities, particularly unmanned surface threats.
Colonel, in terms of next steps, what are the operational priorities?
Moving forward, we will continue to exploit momentum across all sectors, consolidate gains, and push to disrupt Ukrainian logistics, reserves, and command systems. Electronic warfare will remain a key focus, as well as countering NATO-supplied equipment. At the same time, we must prepare for potential Ukrainian counteroffensives and foreign aid injections, so operational flexibility and resilience will be critical.
The European Union recently made it clear they're not planning to mediate peace talks if the U.S. steps back. What does this tell us about the EU's posture?
That's right. The EU essentially drew a line, saying their priority is to keep Ukraine in a strong military position, not to jump into a mediator role if the U.S. pulls back. Brussels plans to continue weapons deliveries and support for Kyiv, focusing on battlefield strength rather than diplomatic solutions. This signals that the EU sees military leverage as the necessary foundation before any meaningful talks can happen. They're not rushing to broker peace without it.
Vice President JD Vance's comments on Fox News also drew attention. He said the war is not going to end anytime soon and talked vaguely about compromise. What's behind that messaging?
Vance's statement is really an admission of stalemate. While he mentions compromise, there is no concrete diplomatic framework or roadmap behind it. What we're hearing is political signaling that the U.S. doesn't want to carry the burden of solving this conflict alone. Instead, Washington is quietly preparing the ground to say, "We tried, we offered compromise, but it's up to Ukraine and Russia to figure it out." It's a way to preposition for a possible pullback without framing it as defeat.
Do you see a gap between the U.S. political rhetoric and what's actually being done on the ground?
Absolutely. We saw this during the Trump campaign too, when he famously said it's very easy to end the war. But that was a campaign soundbite, not a strategy. Neither Trump nor Vance has articulated a concrete plan to force or broker a settlement. Instead, the U.S. is signaling frustration and potentially setting the stage for a future political pivot, something like, "We did what we could, but Europe or maybe China or even the Vatican should step in now." It's a subtle form of washing hands of the outcome.
Some analysts describe this as the U.S. trying to offload responsibility. Can you explain that?
Yes, that's a key point. The U.S. is essentially looking for a way to reduce its direct stake without abandoning Ukraine entirely. That could mean shifting more of the cost burden to the Europeans, allowing the EU to handle reconstruction, or looking for outside mediators like China to propose a peace formula. Meanwhile, Washington is focused on protecting its image and maintaining symbolic victories rather than staying deeply entangled in long-term conflict management.
Where does this leave us in terms of the conflict's future? Are we heading toward a frozen conflict?
Realistically, yes. Without a credible peace roadmap and with both sides digging in, we're looking at a prolonged, possibly frozen conflict. Western unity may start to fray, especially if domestic political pressures in the U.S. and Europe grow. And if no one steps up to lead negotiations, we'll likely see blame shifting, finger pointing, and a gradual slide into a war that neither side decisively wins, but no one formally ends.
Colonel, thank you for providing such a detailed briefing on the current military situation. Your insights are invaluable to our understanding of the conflict's dynamics. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Join us next time as we continue to provide up-to-date coverage on global military affairs. Stay with us for more updates and expert analyses on global defense and security issues. Stay informed, stay secure.
Thank you for the opportunity. Today, Israeli airstrikes have caused casualties in Gaza, while discussions continue around possible ceasefires and the potential exile of Hamas members. However, Hamas has reportedly rejected a recent ceasefire offer. There are also reports of a worsening hunger crisis in Gaza. Beyond the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, the Beirut Marathon has resumed after delays caused by Israeli military actions, and there are ongoing concerns about IDF attacks in Lebanon, Syria, and other activities in the region.
This has been Frontline Updates. Stay tuned for continuing analysis and expert commentary as developments unfold.